Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. I'm Ash. This is today's comic, Action Comics 1002. Bendis, Gleason, Sanchez. Yeah, that's all you need to know. Bendis is still getting three covers per issue, and take or leave them. I didn't really like this one, but I was kind of committed to the full art. The actual regular cover by Gleason is the best. I just have this weird thing about going back and forth. I should just get Gleason to do the full art, or at least if they're going to do 3 covers, have a virgin one with his art, the normal cover with his art, and then one alternative. But anyways, whatever. So we start off with the standard what's going on page. Some people criticize this. I don't know why. I think this is actually a good thing. It's even more important in modern comics with the whole written for the trade thing. You need to, if I were just picking up Superman now, you always have to assume that every comic is someone's first comic. And if you're writing for the trade, that makes it very difficult. And that's not going away. We can sit there and bitch about writing for the trade all day long. It's not going away, and in reality, it actually makes for a better product. It doesn't make for a better jumping on point. It doesn't make better for people who just want to pick up comics every once in a while because an issue looks interesting. But a 5 to 6 issue arc of a comic makes for a better story, which is why miniseries tend to lend themselves for better stories. Miniseries today are kind of a stupid thing. I don't know why so many miniseries, but I'll get into that at a different time. I like this. You got credits for the comic. They did some funny stuff here. Look, Jim Lee called Superman. Oh, and look at this. Remind Bendis eye appointment. A little funny. Look, we're gonna put some Easter eggs of ourselves in our book. So in Action Comics, if you forgot, like many people are apparently forgetting what's going on in the story because it's so forgettable, the Action Comics storyline is the fires portion of Man of Steel. And if you remember Man of Steel, there were 2 plot lines going along. Someone was setting fires in the city, and then there was also Doomsday 2.0. So this is the fire story arc. And unlike Superman, Brian Bendis doesn't spend the whole issue just rehashing what happened in Man of Steel. He actually tells a story. Unfortunately, he doesn't live up to the name Action Comics, because there's no action. This book is Brian Michael Bendis saying, I'm going to deconstruct Superman into a Batman comic. What if Superman was written the way Batman comics are? Great. I don't think Action Comics is the place for that, but whatever. So we get some, your typical Bendis stuff just happening in the city. Look, up in the sky. Oh, look, tourists. It's a bird, you jackass. It's a plane. What? It doesn't even look remotely like, oh no. Oh, this is going to scar me. This guy falling from the sky. Get it? Because it was like a bird, a plane, Superman. Oh no, it's actually a body. And come on. It's okay. I'm probably making a bigger deal. Superman drops gangster to death. This would be CNN fake news. This is actually kind of funny because here we have the newspaper reporting what obviously didn't happen, and I don't even think Bendis understands what he's writing here. Like, this is what actually happened. New York Times does this all the time. And I'm sure he's trying to represent Daily Planet as a newspaper with integrity. He better be. I mean, because it is. But of course, you know, we've got a gossip writer. And she's not a real reporter. Maybe she is. She insists that she is. Hey, I report the news. Then go find some, because this ain't it, Miss Good. But I have art says Superman was in Coast City. But Mr. White, arguing with the editor-in-chief, this is probably what happens over at Marvel, when they just don't have any control. But we need more black representation in the books. Alright, I'll be going and making cooking videos. So, honestly, I'm kind of just jib-jabbing about the book and kind of making fun of it. It's not as bad as all that. This book is actually better than Superman. I don't know why they don't have the same quality. I don't dislike this glossy paper per se, but I really like that matte paper that's thicker. It just feels nicer. It feels like $3.99 value versus, I don't know, just why the inconsistency? Maybe they're just experimenting. So we get, I kind of like this whole the secret identity side of the comics. I like to see I like to see the real world side of the characters out, you know, rather than their super life. And Bendis actually does that pretty well. He gets these characters. I like that he's making new characters at the Daily Planet. It's just not Superman all the time doing stuff. It's mostly human drama with Superman stepping in occasionally when it's needed. And so we've got this mafioso boss guy talking about his like plans, and he's got this kid who, if you saw my last review, his job is to watch over Superman and let everyone know when he's out of town so they can conduct their crime. And he's yelling at him, and a body gets slammed up against the window. Now the car's rolling. He's like, what's going on? You did it this time, Boss Moxie. Oh, God. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Speaking of what did you think was going to happen, Superman, Action Comics, Pearl, Scarlet, DC presents all Bendis all the time. It's no wonder he can't write good books. Honestly, I think that Bendis is talented. I'll still stand by that. But he's writing a million books at a time, and he's not edited, so he's just hacking shit out. He's literally going to the toilet, taking a shit, scribbling down some notes, and be, aha, got a new comic. There's no way. He tweeted about this. He tweeted about how he's comfortable writing a script a week. That would be 4 comics a month. He's currently doing more than that. He's comfortable doing 4. Bullshit. You're comfortable doing 1. Good comics were all done back in the days when people just wrote 1 comic. Alright, so we've got, hey, Guardian stepping in. I found this was kind of interesting. I'm not even actually familiar with Guardian, because for those of you who aren't familiar with me, I am not a big DC. I'm kind of like a DC noob. So I was like, okay, cool. We got a different hero stepping in. He's confronting this mafia boss. He's a street level hero. Makes kind of sense. At some point, you didn't think I was gonna snap? I can honestly tell you. More Bendis all the time. In case you didn't know, Bendis is writing more comics. I can honestly tell you, no one was thinking about you either way. This is a cool full-page reveal. If you remember the Red Shadow, the Red Cloud, I think is what the name of that character was. This is a pretty cool rendition of that character. So anyways, into the hospital, we fast forward. Guardian, everyone apparently knows who he really is in the hospital, trying to figure out what's going on. He ends up on, he's on his deathbed. And it's like, what? Red Cloud? Red Cloud. Okay, so now the police are on to what's going on. And then this is like the total Gordon moment. This chick is the Metropolis Gordon. I'm calling it. So, yeah. In Okay, so Red Cloud. Okay, so now the police are going to have to work with Superman. Hey, what's that over here? Cover. Brian Michael Bendis. How many books can the guy write? Superstar comic artist by day, super spy by night. Are you kidding me? As if being a super spy is just a night job. It's like James Bond comes home 4 in the morning, goes back doing his day job, working at the convenience store or something. That's not what a super spy is. A lifestyle. You're 24/7 super spy. You're not stupid. All right, so Clark has been tasked by Perry to go investigate this story that other girl was. I forget her name. Sorry, the black gossiper columnist girl. Because Perry is just not happy with the work. His intuition is telling him something's off, so he wants a second view of the reporting. So Clark goes to a bar, and again, this is kind of where Bendis is strong. Sorry for the glare. His real world sort of depiction, the non-superhero stuff. And, Clark, of course, he's the bumbling nerd guy, doesn't fit in. And I think Bendis does a decent job portraying Clark here. And, of course, he just got to confront the big bad biker. It's right out of, the original Superman movies. I'm just Christopher Reeve channeling here. But it's okay. I don't mind stereotype or any of that sort of stuff. And actually, Bendis does flip it on its head a little bit, where the guy is actually a big softie. The whole thing is these guys in the bar were kind of lamenting, I guess one of their friends died. That actually turns out the guy that Clark said to investigate, his name is Yogurt, of all the silly tough names. And it's like, well, our buddy just died. What's, you think he's gonna, and Clark says, oh, I had a friend recently die too. And and he turns into a big softie, and he's drunk, so he's spilling the beans. And so Clark now comes back talking to Perry about how he figured it out. Yogurt, the dead guy in town, was the guy who lit the fires. Yogurt. So Clark's, detective. Is this Action Comics or Detective Comics? Because the cover says Action Comics, but there's just a lot of detective work here. So he relays what he did, figured it out. Perry is like, oh, yeah, And there's this interesting scene here. So Perry is telling Superman, these suicide slum gangsters lit buildings of people on fire just to distract Superman, then blame the fires on him? That is some Gotham City level psychotic sociopathic nightmare. If I were Superman, I would fold this entire city up into a quesadilla. If you'll excuse me, hey, I want to hear the rest. I just, hold on, I forgot. Okay, so this is interesting. I'm like, oh, okay, what the hell's going on? I don't know what the hell's going on. So, sorry for the glare. Superman apparently is flying out to the moon, tossing rocks. Now, if you follow Twitter at all, Brian Michael Bendis a couple days ago sent out this tweet of this animation of the Super Friends watching a video of Superman, on a big video screen, of Superman in space just punching meteors. And it was kind of silly, and I was like, okay, whatever. There was no context. Bendis just posted that. But now that I'm reading this book, I'm like, oh, I get it. And just like that animation, which was, just a little clip, there's no context. You don't have any. It's nonsensical other than it's a funny image. This doesn't make any sense. I sat here, I read the book, and I got to this page, and I sat here for probably 5 minutes, going back and forth, and even though there's no dialogue, going, what the hell is going on here? Did I skip a page? No. Clark says, excuse me. Next thing we know, he's in space. I'm guessing he's flinging asteroids. He's now touching asteroids. Now punching. He's in a rage. Oh, look, punching more. Ash punching. Punching. Okay, I'm going to take a little nappy poo here. Superman's all tuckered out. I get... What is going on? What is this? Now, maybe you, the watching this video, are sitting here talking to the screen and sounding what an idiot I am because you have it all figured out. My interpretation of this is kind of simple. That this is Superman kind of pissed off that he didn't figure out that these fires were being set so that he would be distracted, and it's just like he's like pissed at himself and he's just letting out rage. I can get that. If that's the conclusion you're coming to as well, maybe if you're coming to a different conclusion, please put it in the comments, please, because that's my conclusion. It shouldn't take me to... It's so jarring. There's no transition to this. And I don't blame the artist, because the artist still has to follow the script. And Bendis obviously wrote, you know, this panel to this panel. There's nothing that Patrick Gleason can do about that. He's got to just tell this as best he can. And there's no narration. There's no dialogue. So he's just drawing what Bendis is putting. Like, oh, Superman sits down, you know, like with Rock. Or, okay, now you do... This is completely the writer's fault. Gleason is doing the best he can. This is really annoying. This is bad writing. This is 2 pages that Bendis checked off for his quota for the month that he just was shitting on the pot and was like, oh, how can I knock off 2 pages? Oh yeah, I'll just have Superman punching rocks. And then he posts it on Twitter. He's joking about it. He's aware of this. This looks good. Black Label. Oh, it looks good. So back to Metropolis. Here we go. And except it's not talking to Perry White. He's just sitting at his computer and Clark Kent, do you ever age? Cat Grant. Oh, Cat Grant's here. Okay, so this is actually... I'm sounding exasperated because of the other issues of the book. And this on its own is not bad. Like, again, I actually do enjoy the personal character writing that Bendis does. But the whole point of this thing here is that she lets a cat out of the bag about, like, oh, I saw Lois's book. And he's like, what do you mean Lois's book? So he's like, wait, Lois is supposed to be lost in space. How does she have a book out that I didn't even know about? So he's looking at a picture of his family. And you as the reader, if you were like me and you actually like the previous Superman iteration with Lois and John... and what Tomasi was doing, and it was beautiful, you're kind of going, what the F? Just like Clark is, right? What the F? What? This is Clark Kent saying, what the fuck are you doing, Bendis? So here we have someone else's voice. It's not clear, so I hate when they do this. Okay, so I may have underestimated Metropolis. Wah wah, spoiler! The gossip columnist girl, she's actually a bad guy. She's working for the mob, undercover for the newspaper. It used to be they worked undercover for the cops, so that they, you know, but apparently now it's gotta know what the newspaper's gonna say about us before. Anyways, I do like, I gotta say one, it's stupid that I have to say this, utterly stupid. They wrote the black girl is the villain. That does not happen in today's comics. If you are the minority, or if you are, you know, say the gay or the lesbian, or whatever, if you're just not the white male is always the bad guy. Because anyone else, if you're racist, if you make... Kudos. Did not see that coming. I like that Bendis does this too. So she's talking to the mob, and she's like, because she knows she's dealing with Superman, she wants a piece of kryptonite. And at first I was like, what's going on here? She's writing it on paper because the criminals, they can't say, if they say the word kryptonite and Superman hears it, it's like a red flag. So they know Superman is keyed into certain words. So she has to write it to communicate. And I was like, that's a neat little touch. And then over here, I forget where they talk about the same thing about Lois Lane. They don't actually say her name, but you get that it's her because they say, oh, it's a certain reporter. We don't say her name either. Yeah. We don't say her name either. Because it's a red flag. So, moving along, we get to the final page, and Superman has tracked down this woman, Lois. Uh-oh, got my wig. Hi, honey. Next. Kryptonite, baby. Okay, so before I go off on this, what the F is this? Okay, like Superman's landing around people. I get it, it's cool. What? She might as well be like, hey, Clark. These people are like 5 feet away. Lois Lane saying, hi, honey. Who's Lois Lane married to? Clark Kent. Like, you don't have to be a reporter to put this all together. This is stupid. Where is the editing? At DC Comics, there's no editing. This is just, oh, hi. That would have been a better thing. You know, like just, oh, God, so terrible. What? DC is just, here's the thing. Like, I'm faulting DC so much. Really, DC is just hands off. They just have given Bendis the keys, and he is out joyriding. They don't know that he's already, like, done a couple fender benders with the car. They don't know how beat up it's going to come back yet, you know, because they're not watching what's happening. So it's hard to blame them, but I blame them for giving him the keys in the first place, especially unwatched, like, just with complete autonomy. But regarding the book as a whole, it's not terrible. I'm really kind of going off on it just because I'm getting frustrated with, ever since issue 6 of Man of Steel, which was terrible, Superman 1 and 2, which are terrible, I'm getting less tolerant. So I'm every little thing that I see, I'm keying off on. And this book is Action Comics. Where is the action? There was no action. This was a filler issue, and I would be accepting of it if it wasn't the second issue in the story. Like, I understand when you're doing a long run of comics, you have to have that downtime, right? You can't just be all action all the time. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel like solid action. Nothing has started yet. Okay, so the first issue gave us a little bit of a prologue, kind of introduced us to this crime syndicate, showed us this new character, Red Cloud. Okay, interesting. Where are you going with that? Issue 2 is like, nah, we're not going anywhere. We're just going to pause here, transition, have some backstory with these other Metropolis regulars, I guess I'll call them, Metropolis, you know. And like I said, that would be fine given the right circumstances. The problem here is Bendis is not setting anything up, and he's I don't want to go too off on it. This is not the crime that Superman 1 and 2 is. It was enjoyable, but I just feel like I need to be extra critical of this because, number one, it's Bendis. We lost the good Superman books because of this, so this needs to step up. And number two, it's not being edited. And that's, I don't care who you are, the best of the best need to be edited. You always need another set of eyes. You need people that are willing to tell you no. You need people to understand the bigger company vision and not just letting writers do whatever the hell they want. And lastly, how many books is Bendis writing? There are ads for 3 separate Bendis books in this comic book alone. That's 5. 5. That's not counting the Bendis Batman story that DC's doing in the Giant 100s. That's 6. That's not counting whatever he else is working on the side, because Bendis is always doing stuff like that. This guy is a hack. He's a super talented person who got his name to such a point where now he can just churn out whatever, and modern day editors are afraid to challenge. He has more clout than the modern day editors, and that's because of modern comics, especially true over at Marvel, where they just hired like the Milkshake crowd. Would you say anyone in the Milkshake crowd was going to say anything to Bendis? That's just, there's very few people, even at DC, who can stop Bendis and be like, whoa, whoa, dude, this is, do this over. He's too big. It's like George Lucas when he did the prequel trilogy. You know, when he did the original trilogy, 20th Century Fox was like, this ain't happening. You're doing this. We're editing this movie differently. And that was good. It was, I mean, George Lucas is brilliant. Huge, I mean, I'm a huge fanboy. But it showed when he was completely autonomous with the prequels, and he was like, I'm doing everything my way, and no one could tell him no. In fact, the opposite. Everyone was probably telling him yes. Oh, yes. Oh, it's brilliant, George. Oh, it's the best thing you've ever done. Oh, you're going to get 20 Oscars for this. He turned out an inferior product. You need to be challenged. Bendis needs to be challenged. And DC needs to be like, get rid of this other side shit. 2 comic books. We're paying you a shit ton of money for Superman, which is our premiere. This is our flagship title. You have both of them. You have complete control over all Superman. It fucking needs to be great. Excuse my language. Alright, so this, despite even my hang-ups on it, I'm going to give this 3 stars. It's a satisfactory comic book on its own right. If this was like Blue Beetle or something, I probably wouldn't even be complaining. But because of Super, because of all the reasons I said, I have higher expectations and I'm being critical. But I'll still give this a 3 as far as enjoyment. If you did like the previous issue, this is not going to ruin it for you. If you didn't like the last issue, this probably is not... I don't know. I don't think this is going to necessarily make you like it. But that's where it's going. It's 3 stars. I'm not going to recommend it, but I'm not going to recommend not getting it either. It's just kind of a neutral. It's okay. So, hope you like this video. Hope it was informative. Please comment below. Please subscribe. Thank you for the fans, anyone who's watching my videos as it is. I appreciate your time. I know it's very valuable, and you have a bunch of things you could choose to listen to or watch, and you choose to watch my videos. That makes me very happy. I love to talk about comics. These videos are not meant for me to be an expert and teach you or talk. It's meant for me to have an outlet to communicate about comics. I'm definitely not. I have some knowledge about things, but I'm not, the pariah, or the that's not the right word. I'm not the penultimate, end all be all of comics. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.